Metroid's always been a franchise that I've been extremely intrigued by. Now, my first Metroid game was actually Fusion, which came out in 2002 on the Game Boy Advance, and is the fourth Metroid game in the 2D series. And then shortly after that, I played Metroid Prime, which came out that same year on the GameCube. Very drastically different games there, obviously, one being 2D and then one being Samus's first hoorah into the 3D realm, and also playing Smash Brothers, whether it was on the Nintendo 64 99 and then eventually Melee later on. I always gravitated towards Samus. I've always thought she was a really cool character, and I think a lot of people did. Well, at least I thought a lot of people did, because unfortunately, Metroid was always sort of this little niche kind of IP for us Nintendo fans. I mean, if you look at these sales figures, unfortunately, you can kind of tell that Metroid was kind of, a flop in Nintendo's eyes. You look at the sales and it just didn't really compete well enough with some of the other franchises, which is unfortunate because to me, Metroid is one of Nintendo's best IPs. And I'm happy to say that with the launch of this guy right here, Metroid Dread, Samus is kicking ass again. Metroid's kind of had a rough start on the Nintendo Switch. Not gonna lie to you guys. We started with nothing, and now we're up to, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 games currently available on the Nintendo Switch, which is fantastic because there are a lot of Nintendo Switches out in the wild, but there's a lot of opportunity for people to finally sit down and play some of these classic games. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I play these on your Nintendo Switch? Well, myself and IGN have an article for you. I'll put it right here. You can kind of see which games are available and where they're at. We have Metroid Original, the NES on the NSO. Super Metroid on the Super NES for the NSO. Metroid 2, Return of Samus on the Game Boy, NSO. Metroid Fusion, Game Boy Advance, which was just recently announced, NSO plus the expansion. Metroid Dread, which is a physical on the Nintendo Switch, and Metroid Prime Remastered, which also has a physical on the Nintendo Switch. And it's kind of cool because Metroid Prime Remastered was sold out everywhere. That game was shadow dropped digitally with the launch. I think it was like 2 weeks later for the physical, and it was so hard to get. Like, I understand that it's just Nintendo being Nintendo, like they normally always freaking do, and they don't make enough copies of something because they're just like, it's not going to sell well. But, I don't blame them in this sense because, we talked about it earlier with Metroid not really being that great of a seller, which again, really bums me out because Samus is awesome. Now, Metroid Dread kind of changed that by becoming the best-selling Metroid. And if you're familiar at all with RGT85 and the Spawncast, they actually had a little bet going that if in the first year it sold 3 million, then RGT would have to play through and review Balan Wonderland or whatever, that, notoriously bad Square Enix game that everyone just ripped apart, stuff like that. Well, it basically hit 3 million. I think the last number that they put out was like 2.97 million, for their sales goal or sales meeting. And he was like, oh, it didn't count, blah, blah, blah. But they don't count digital sales and stuff like that. So the game definitely sold over 3 million. I'm not sure where it's sitting at now, but the game sold really, really well. And it was a revitalization that the Metroid franchise desperately needed. Now, that was back in 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021 is when Metroid Dread launched right alongside the Nintendo Switch OLED model, which was cool because Dread was such a drastic graphical improvement from Fusion, which was 19 years earlier. So I would hope that it looked better, but god damn, did that game play phenomenal. I have a review of it on my channel. I'll link it down in the description below, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about how freaking amazing Metroid Dread was, but it's easily my second favorite Metroid game, right along Fusion. But I'm not here to also judge the Metroid games because I feel every Metroid game has a special place in my heart and is a fantastic game, and you need to play them. Now, I still remember not having any Metroid games, really, on the Nintendo Switch, right? And we got that announcement in 2017 or 2018 that they were working on Metroid Prime 4, and it was coming, right? Eventually. Great. Nothing really stood out there. They just had a logo for it, and then silent for a while. It was cool. Sucked, man, because everybody wanted Metroid Prime 4. And then there were all those rumors that we were getting the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Nintendo Switch, the Wii version with the updated controls. It really wasn't until 2020 when we had that E3 where Nintendo shocked the world and announced Metroid Dread, which was a project that had been being worked on for 19 years. There's even little hints to Metroid Dread in one of the Prime games. I can't remember which one it is, but it was like Project Dread is close to completion or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but it never came out. Finally got it in 2021, right alongside that Switch OLED, and I was instantly enamored with that freaking game. And then it was a little bit of a dull there again. It got real quiet from Nintendo, right? We didn't really hear anything. They said Retro Studios is working on Metroid Prime 4. That was about it. And then Jeff Grubb had that infamous little situation with him and his friend Mike where they were like, it's coming, there's gonna be a remake or remaster of the original, we're gonna get 2 and 3, and the trilogy's coming. And they had this big announcement for the end of the year in 2021, or 2022, sorry, and nothing. Still nothing. Don't know what happened there. Don't know where it was. But then, this year, 2023, on February 8th, everything changed because we finally got Metroid Prime Remastered. Shadow dropped at $40 for one of the most impressive remakes of all time. Sorry, remaster. Kind of some choppy water there. People say remake, people say remaster. Whatever. The game is amazing. It plays so good. It's got gyro controls. It's got updated first-person shooter controls. The game runs so well. People still can't believe it's on the Nintendo Switch because the Switch is such a bad performing console in terms of graphics and all these other things, blah, blah, blah. Really? Because Retro Studios did a pretty fucking amazing, great job on it. Now here's the next question though. With Metroid Prime Remastered coming out and being phenomenal, where's 2 and 3? Are we gonna eventually get those on the Switch? I don't know. It'd be nice. I don't think it's gonna be the same type of remastered situation we got with Metroid Prime, the original, but I could definitely see them putting out 2 and 3 and maybe like a double pack sort of situation where you just get Metroid Prime 2 on the cartridge and then 3 is a download. Definitely see them doing that. There's not really too much they could, they don't have to do really to 3. It was the first Wii Metroid game and it was already looking pretty great. So where's Metroid Prime 4 then? Is that coming out on this current Switch? Is that coming out in 2024 on some new upgraded console? Who knows, man? I don't. I'm just gonna keep playing Metroid games because I love them. Fusion now being on the NSO is amazing. I've actually been playing that while doing cardio at the gym because I'm trying to get fit for summer, So been really enjoying bringing my Switch and just hopping on 20-30 minutes every other day playing some Metroid Fusion. It's fantastic, and it's in handheld the way that Metroid gods intended. Now, it's kind of cool because Metroid has always been a niche sort of Nintendo IP. We talked about that as well earlier. But I've also noticed that on Twitter, there are a lot of people who really, really, really love Metroid. And there's this whole community. And I've actually become friends with some of the people. And one guy, Metroid Freak on Twitter, his name's Corey, we've actually kind of started becoming friends because of this. Because when Dread was coming out, he was all about it. And then that's kind of how we started talking, was because I was tweeting about Dread and he had just made his Twitter account. And now his Twitter account's blowing up. He's got almost 1,000 followers. He's playing on Twitch now. You can check him out. Metroid's bringing people together. And if it wasn't for the Metroid franchise, Corey wouldn't have his Twitter page right now. And he wouldn't be meeting all these other new people and things like that. And there's, podcasts like the Shine Sparkers and stuff like that. And there's this huge community of us out there. We love Samus. She's amazing. We love Metroid. We love Ridley, for crying out loud. But for some reason, the general public just can't seem to grasp this interestingly dark, kind of almost horror style franchise that Nintendo has. I don't understand, but I think the Nintendo Switch and the Metroid franchise will continue to grow together. It's 6 years in and we're still getting bangers on this thing. I can't, speak for what Nintendo's doing with their next system, you know, it might be coming soon, maybe 2025. Maybe they really do hit the 10-year mark, you know, and they wait until 2027 to launch the next console. I don't know, but it's exciting to me because Metroid's now becoming a bigger franchise. It's slowly becoming the franchise I thought it always could be, and that right there is what makes me so excited. So if you haven't gotten a chance to play any of these old Metroid games that have been out for 30 years now, perfect chance for you to hop on your Nintendo Switch, load up Nintendo Switch Online, get that expansion pass, play all of the 6 of them that I mentioned earlier. Sorry, 4 of them that are available on there with the, you know, NSO, and then get Dread and definitely get Metroid Prime Remastered, because they are some of, if not the best games on the Nintendo Switch right now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. This might be it, boys.